Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Allie, Coram, and Shreve here with a look at the action in today's session. And we saw a bullish day in the market, Ken, a follow-up to yesterday's strong gains.
Bullish gains Tuesday, more bullish gains Wednesday. So still hard finding actionable stocks out there, but we'll take a look at three names today. First of all, Ollie's bargain outlet in the retail sector looking pretty good here. Also in the security software space, we'll take a look at Crowdstrike. And finally, the ETF, it's kind of a mouthful. The iShares Expanded Tech Software Sector ETF, IGV, gave a buy signal today.
Yeah, good proxy there for what's happening in all things tech and software. So we'll get your take on that, Ken, and those other two stocks. But first, let's take a look at the major indexes. So the Nasdaq today up 1.6%. We also had the S&P 500 up about 0.6% today. The Dow up about 0.2% here. So the Nasdaq really leading the way with a strong gain by the close.
Yeah, we had a little volume behind yesterday's rally for the Nasdaq, and volume hasn't fully updated yet for today's chart, but it does look like we're going to get slightly higher volume again on the Nasdaq today. So that's a good sign. It was really a decisive retaking of the 50-day line on Tuesday, and we extended gains today. So Nasdaq is knocking right up against that 12,000 level. Now, this is what we would call a round number, and might take a little bit of time for the Nasdaq to get through this level. Would not be a bad thing just to see it consolidate. It's been a pretty strong rally 4 out of the 5 past sessions. So we'll see if the Nasdaq can reclaim this 12,000 level. If it trades sideways and holds below 12,000, that wouldn't be a bad thing. But definitely, seeing buyers come into the Nasdaq here.
That's right. And also your thoughts on the strength that we've seen 2 back-to-back days here now does seem like, and getting above some key resistance levels, even though we do face more, but that is still significant. But we do have some upcoming events that could have an impact either way on the broad market with a big week of earnings next week and the Fed.
Yeah, it's going to be a very busy week. Next week, we've got all the FANG stocks reporting reports from Amazon and Facebook and Apple and Microsoft, you name it. So very, very busy week next week in terms of large cap technology earnings. And yeah, you mentioned the Fed, where a 75 basis point rate hike is widely expected. Seems right now the market is kind of focused more on earnings season. We did not get a good earnings report from the managed care firm. United Health reported good earnings on Friday, and then it was got totally blanking out here.
Elevant,
yeah,
formerly Anthem.
Formerly Anthem, yeah, ELV had quite the earnings sell-off today. But in general, not a bad start to second quarter earnings season, and market seems to be pricing in. Maybe earnings season won't be so bad, but those questions are going to be answered next week for sure.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, it seems like there is a little bit of a lack of setups, and we're seeing a lot of bottom fishing software, which has been really beaten down, picked up steam quite a bit today. But here's a look at the S&P 500 extending gains of its own, and it's also approaching a round number, Ken.
Yeah, so it wasn't quite as decisive a retaking of the 50-day line yesterday for the S&P 500, but it did manage to move nicely above that potential resistance level today. So there you have it, going right up against this 4,000 level. So it would make sense that the market could pause here. Nasdaq below its round number, and the S&P 500 below its round number of 4,000. So we'll see what happens. But clearly the market is acting better when you look at all the big gainers in the Nasdaq 100 and the S&P 500 for that matter. A lot of them are, just moving off lows after really sharp sell-offs. So still a challenging market environment out there, but we are headed higher, so that's a good thing.
Okay, and a quick look at the Dow, which is looking very similar, and as fate would have it, also approaching a round number. For the Dow, it's 32,000. So we'll be keeping tabs on that. And IWM, this is the ETF that tracks the Russell 2000, also picked up the pace quite a bit today, up over 1.6% today. So after a strong day yesterday, and it looks like the next hurdle here really isn't until its highs from early in June.
Right. So the only index that's not dealing with a round number here. I mean, it still has a ways to go to get to the 200 level. But I know the guys on Swing Trader added IWM yesterday to the Swing Trader portfolio, and on Leaderboard we added QQQ. So we'll see how it goes. But indexes are trending higher, and it's good to see. And we'll see if it can hold.
Okay, and then also semi stocks in the news. And so here's a look at SMH, this ETF outpacing the broad market today, up 2.4% after retaking the 50-day line in Tuesday's session.
Yeah, this is interesting because you can draw a trend line starting from that high of 284, and just drop it right in there, and see that this move above the 50-day moving average for the SMH also corresponded with a breakout over a trend line here. So semiconductor stocks certainly acting better. Nvidia did not have any problems at all with its 50-day moving average. That has been moving higher. So chip stocks starting to show signs of life here.
That they are. Okay, well, let's take a look at Ollie's Bargain Outlet. This is OLLI, pulling back in an orderly fashion today. An up day for the stock, up 0.6%, but it's pulled back from its highs. Volume has been light, making this an orderly pullback for one of the top turnaround stocks that we've been eyeing in the last number of weeks, Ken.
Yes, and full disclosure, I do own a little bit of Ollies, and this stock initially came down to its 10-day moving average, came close to its 21-day moving average a few weeks ago. There you go, right in that area, and then started to move higher again. So we could see another test of the 21-day line here. If you look at the weekly chart, this could also be what we would call just a handle area forming. So you had an initial breakout from a bottoming base. The stock did very well there, but if you look at kind of a bigger consolidation here, you could find another way into this stock if it can break out over its recent high of 72. So still has a ways to go to get there, but just like the way that Ollies is managing its recent gains, the pullback has been in light volume, and this one is could be setting up for higher prices still, like the technical setup here, and go ahead and put this one on the watch list.
And this is one that you can't just look at a lot of red here and dismiss it on the fundamental side, because it is that turnaround play, and it's really in the middle of this big story that we're seeing with a lot of the big box retailers just not appropriately managing on the supply chain front after the last couple of years of that being a mess. And so with a lot of inventory woes now for Target and Walmart and the likes, that is in Ollie's benefit, perhaps.
Yes, it is, and you look at recent earnings and sales at Ollies, and you see declines for the current quarter that they'll be reporting in the not so distant future. Revenue is expected to kick back into gear, up 10% year over year. Still expecting another earnings decline, but the stocks in this discount group, it's a fairly big group. We got Dollar Tree in there, we got Dollar General, Ollies, of course, even Grocery Outlet. Geo is tracked in this industry group as well, I believe. So a lot broad-based strength in the group, and Ollies is still acting very well despite a significant gain in recent weeks.
Yes, and forward-looking earnings estimates compelling, and it was that reaction to the news, hearing management on the call giving positive signals, and so that's the kind of color that we like to look for, especially when you see the compelling technical action that we are, to dig in a little bit deeper on the fundamental side. And now let's also take a look at Crowdstrike, CRWD, to see what you're seeing in the chart here. Ken, Crowdstrike up over 3.5% so far for the week. It's been able to get above its 50-day line sooner than the broad market has, and holds above that level.
Yeah, this one is still, even though it's still far off its high, it's in a nice uptrend here. I like the way the stock has come off lows. It's one of one of the better looking names in the security software group from my perspective. Like the fact that it's been able to kind of find a new home above the 50-day moving average. Now, the 200-day line at right around that 200 level is definitely a resistance level to watch, because you can see the last time Crowdstrike came up to that 200-day line when it hit a high of 242. It got turned away. So we'll have to see. I mean, if this Nasdaq rally is to be believed, and we're in the early stages of a nice tradable rally here, wouldn't be surprised to see Crowdstrike make a bid to get back above that the 200-day moving average on the daily chart, the 40-week line here on the weekly chart. So just like the way this has come up off the bottom, not much in the way of higher volume declines, and just the price and volume characteristics here look pretty good to me.
Okay, one to keep an eye on, and we did get Tesla results out after the close, so we'll sneak in Ken's quick take on Tesla before we wrap. But first, let's take a look at IGV, up almost 6% so far this week, with 2 trading sessions to go, 3.5% of that coming today here. So this one also clearly breaking a trend line.
Yeah, with a nice move above the 50-day moving average. So your top weighted stocks in this ETF would be Microsoft, Salesforce is in there, Adobe, top weighted stock as well. So taking advantage of these tech stocks trying to come off lows would be a great way to do it here with IGV. So nice breakout over a trend line today, closes up near its highs. You can see volume really dried up over the past 4 or 5 days. Picked up the pace a little bit today, still below average, but nice technical action in IGV today, and to me it looked like a buy signal.
All right, and now let's just briefly take a look at Tesla before we wrap. See the early reaction to the report out after hours. Up, the stock up about 2%, a little shy of that on the report. Seeing revenue was up some 42%. Did beat on the bottom line here, it looks like, on an adjusted basis. But this is still early. What do you think, Ken, of the reaction?
Yeah. Well, it's so up several days in a row, holding above its 50-day moving average. I would think it would be a really significant if the stock could move above that recent high of 764, call it 765. So trading around 755, 754 in extended trading. Could try to break out over that recent high, but this Tesla's chart looks like a lot of charts in this market right now. Lots of selling, and stocks like Tesla trying to come off their lows here. So we'll see how it opens tomorrow. Looks to be holding a strong extended hours gain, and I think it would be noteworthy if it eventually moves above that, like I said, that 764, 765 recent high.
And a little more color for you from the breaking coverage at our sister company, Wall Street Journal, everyone. They are reporting also the revenue beat here by about $5 billion as well. It was a first sequential decline in quarterly profit in more than a year. It's recovering from that extended shutdown at its Shanghai assembly plant. And one other note here for you, it looks like the automotive gross margin did dip a little bit down to 27.9% versus 32.9% in the first quarter. But again, the reaction is positive for now, so we'll have to see what happens in the regular session tomorrow. So thank you so much, Ken, for your quick take on Tesla earnings. I'm sure we'll be covering this one tomorrow morning on IBD Live. And speaking of IBD Live, that's the place to get all the latest up-to-the-minute analysis in the morning for the first 90 minutes of trade, because we are sharing our screens live and analyzing setups, breakouts, and other stocks on the move, and we are able to interact with you as well. So we welcome your questions and comments. Please join us tomorrow morning on IBD Live, investors.com/IBD Live for all the details on that, and we'll also see you right back here tomorrow after the close.